Hi, I'm going to talk today about color mixing and the palette, because why not? It's a good day to do that. I'm on the Batten Kiln. I'm by the, I guess this is Hickory Road. I don't know where the hell I am. At any rate, there's a new bridge here and it's a nice spot. I've got about maybe a quarter of the painting done, maybe not even, depending on where I end up. And my palette is, it's this piece of plastic that I like because I can carry it. And I've got titanium white, lemon yellow, cadmium yellow light, burnt sienna, and alizarin. And a little bit of, oh, and of course, ultramarine blue, and a little bit of cerulean blue. Now I've mixed my black at the beginning of ultramarine and burnt sienna. And the reason why I do this, and I go heavy on the blue, and it stays pretty dark and it stays fairly cool. The reason I like to do that is because if I want to change up that color a little bit and not change it too much, I can go add a little bit of that blue in there, or I can add a bit of the burnt sienna in there, and I can change it a little bit. Then I can change it even more if I want to put in a little bit of the alizarin or any other color for that matter, and push it another direction. But with those two colors together and both on the palette, I have a flexibility that I like that, you know. So kind of true of all the colors. It's kind of true of the whole palette. Essentially, you end up getting a kind of a muddy, certain muddy colors, and pulling and pushing them out of that is just a matter of pulling and pushing more of whatever direction you want to go into. So when I put on a color, when I'm looking for color, the first few colors are kind of the hardest because you don't have anything else to go by. You have nothing on your canvas. You've got, you know, I've got my tone, which is a sort of a burnt sienna. There's a lot of burnt sienna in there, and sort of that gives your start. Or it's from me again. This is on me. So, and what do? I start with my darks, and I put a few darks in there, draw them in there, squinting quite a bit, of course. There's a lot of squinting going on. So I'll stand back here. My viewing spot is right about here. And every time I stand back up, sorry, I have to turn my head. I gotta figure this out here. So I'm gonna refine my spot, which is about here, so I can figure out where I'm at. Okay. Now, the next color I want to put in here is there's a chunk of light ochre yellow over on the other side of the river, and it's actually really fairly bright. It's on the kind of the whites if you really squint. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sort of give it a hunch. My hunch is that I need some. I'm going to have to put this down the way I do it. My hunch is that I'm going to use a little of that titanium, a little of that cadmium yellow light, maybe a little burnt sienna, get a little something like that. If I just want to put a tiny bit of something in, I'll just like go like that. Just steal a little bit of that color. Actually, I don't want that color. If I want a little bit of that color, I'll just sort of like get a little tiny bit of that so it doesn't overwhelm it. That way. So there you go. And then, like I said, it's a hunch. So I'm going to take that, what I think is a hunch, and I'm going to put it where I think it goes, which is about there. Pretty much right off, I can see that what I thought would have been my light was actually the dark that I've left. So I'm going to use that for the dark part of that yellowish, that yellow ochre stuff. Kind of throw that in there a little bit the way where I want it. Maybe there's a few other spots of that somewhere. Okay. But it wasn't really bright enough, so I'm going to brighten it up with a lot more titanium and maybe a tad of this lemon, and that can just kick it up. and see if that works. and sometimes I can get it pretty close and where I want it. But essentially, it's still a little too cool, so I'm going to add a little bit of, maybe we'll add a little of that warmth in there. So it's a process. Basically, what I'm getting at here, okay, it's a process. I'm not, you can't go through everything. The process is putting something down and then looking at it and comparing it. So I'm looking at nature and I'm looking at my thing, and it's like, well, how am I different? What do I want to do to change it? How close do I want to get? I mean, you're going to get so close, and then you're going to have to say, okay, we'll go on to the next color. It was a little too cool, so I'm going to warm that up. Maybe that's the best way to warm it up. Still a little too cool. Let me just try to do that. Okay. A little bit closer. So the whole process is correcting the mistakes, putting something down and then correcting something that's a little bit better. And what I'll have to do is I'll have to go from that tone to somewhere else, and figure out my next color and spot of paint, and there you have it. Then it kind of goes from one to the next and back and forth a little bit. But it's all about correction. It's all about looking at what I have and what I think I want. And of course, the scene's changing all the time. So there you go. So that's a little bit about color, and I hope that was fun. Thanks.